Wow. Was this the best Springboks 40 minutes of all time? I'm sure there'll be other contenders, but this second half South Africa performance was close to faultless. Hello, amateurs. What on earth did we just witness from the Cape Tin in Wellington? Well, in terms of the championship, I was hoping for a Springboks win this morning after Argentina won earlier in Australia. I just love to see tight competition, and my goodness me, international rugby at the moment is as tight as it possibly has ever been. There are so many teams that can beat each other, and it is wonderful to see, and this was no exception after last week's incredibly tight battle at Eden Park, which the All Blacks won deservedly, but they won. It was a very tight battle. This was a whole different matter. It was a debut for the All Blacks with Leroy Carter, seven speedster, in on the left wing, and he had a great debut, especially early on. He got so many involvements, and we'll get to the first try in a second. But the game started off, and it immediately looked like it was going to be a helter-skelter, entertaining, ambitious game from both teams. Both teams throwing the ball around, plenty of punches, but South Africa were generally on top, I would say. They held territorial advantage. They looked the most dangerous. Cheslin Kolbe missed out on a try after an incredible Geordie Barrett tackle coming across and dislodging the ball. There was a try disallowed as well, way after the fact, when the TMO spotted a small knock-on by Cobus Reinach at the base of a ruck. So yeah, Springboks on top. But it was the All Blacks who scored the opening try, and this was an incredible try. This might be one of my most favourite tries I've ever seen in international rugby. The All Blacks went wide, 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 wide. I think it was 6 times. Got the ball to the touchline 6 times in a row, and it led to Tupai Vai getting Leroy Carter over for a try on debut, 7-0, 20 minutes gone. Like I said, South Africa had really held the edge up to that point, but we see this so much through history. The All Blacks just completely ruthless when they got the chance. I'm going to go and watch that try back again many, many times because it was an absolute beauty. At times there were players like on their knees forcing the offload out the back so they could get to the width again. There was some incredible skills in this, and to get round that All Black, the Springboks rush defence that many times in a row, it was something really, really special. Yeah, so there was lots of ball being thrown around, but there was also incredible physicality, as you would expect, and it was taking a toll. Sasha Feinberg, Ngomazolo, Hotham, Jayega, all off within the opening stanzas there. Feinberg and Ngomazolo was looking really, really sharp, running the ball a lot. And when Libbok came on, the South Africans started kicking a lot more. That's more in sort of Libbok's ballpark, and it looked like it was going to stump them a little bit early on because they had looked really dangerous when they were running the ball constantly. But that would change. So later on this half, and certainly in the second. But the Springboks did get back into the game. Kolbe judged a beautiful interception off a Proctor pass to go 60, 70 metres for 7-7. He watch this on the replay from behind the All Blacks line, and you can see he dummied in to go for the tackle. Proctor bought that dummy, and then he bounced back out again, caught the intercept, and went. And as he was celebrating, my immediate thought was, tuck that little tab in your scrum hat. And it was almost like he heard me, because he he did it almost immediately, which was, yeah, it just looked messy. Cheslin, get that sorted out straight away. The All Blacks did get back in front, though, at 10-7 for a penalty for not rolling away. Cobus Reinach went off with HIA shortly afterwards. This one was friendly fire, though. Springboks getting through seams, doing beautiful offloading from several players. Reinach offloaded to Oxen Che, who then kneed Reinach in the head as he ran past him. That came to nothing, and Reinach would return. He was combative all throughout this game, and I thought he had a cracking match. As I said earlier, Manny Libbok was on and kicking a lot. He kicked one directly into touch as well, and at this point it looked like this early South African dominance might come to nothing. Again, we've seen this so much in history, like the All Blacks are so good at soaking up pressure and then turning what chances they get into points. But this game was wild. It was absolutely wild. New Zealand had a line out deep in South African territory. The line out would come back to be an issue as well, especially later in this game. This one was, I've written down here, butchered by New Zealand, but actually South Africa got across and closed the gap and got away with it, I think. This one could have been a penalty, I think, to New Zealand, but they got away with it. Marks ran over Takiohu up the left-hand touchline. But the All Blacks got the ball back. There was an awful cross kick from Damian McKenzie, which led to deep pressure with Cheslin Kolbe kicking the ball through, but that got slapped back by McKenzie. Eventually it was cleared, but this really was kind of what the game was like, really. It was wild, it was fast, there was lots of skills, lots of ambition on show. Yeah, it was really, really great. Half-time came and it was 10-7, and it was almost like, how on earth is it only 10-7? With all that rugby that was played, all the chances, all the ambition, yeah. But South Africa edged that first half, in my opinion, but missed those chances, which is something the All Blacks did not. Into the second half, and South Africa subbed both their props in the 41st minute. And it seems like a very strange thing to do, but I sense they were going to come on at the first scrum. Wherever that came, obviously not whatever, there might not have been a scrum in the second half, but I think they were amped and ready to come on and scrum straight away. And this absolutely paid off because they had a big scrum, an absolutely massive scrum. And Wessels on the loose head side, they went forward so fast, he even went down to his knees and somehow managed to get himself back up again immediately. That takes some skill, strength, just coordination, fair play. They got incredible momentum off that scrum. Penalty advantage. Ryanak just went after it, offloaded Khaleesi, went straight through, making yards and yards and yards. Esterhazen in at scrum half, ball over the top to Kolbe. Try 10-14, and that was the blueprint for South Africa. That was classic Springboks rugby. Get on the front foot with intense power and then just keep going and going. Don't let the defence time to recover. And that is exactly what happened. 10-14, but this was still absolutely, at this point, it was still very much quite cagey. The South Africans were again dominating territory and possession, but it did feel like New Zealand could find gaps. They could find areas to exploit if they got enough possession. There was a massive tackle from Jasper Wiese on Christie shortly afterwards. It looked like potential head knock, but he whacked him when Christie was dabbling around on the floor trying to pick a ball up. By the way, Christie, who was on at scrum half early, he loves getting into a breakdown, doesn't he? He is brave as boots. Fair play to him. After that, Tupou Vai, who was combative throughout, and I thought he had a pretty good game, but he had a no-arms tackle on Cheslin Kolbe, which Cobus Ryanak really objected to and tried to start a fight with Vai for the second time in the game. That was a penalty, which the South Africans kicked for 17-10. But it was still very much game on at this point. Will Jordan made a break up the right-hand side, but he couldn't find the pass when it looked like a try was possibly on the cards. And the All Blacks started hitting seams, so the Springboks almost doubled down on their blitz defence. They were pushing on and on and on and really trying to get in the All Blacks' faces. But the All Blacks were, finding shoulder balls. They were getting through, but crucially, they weren't really ever getting over the gain line. So although it looked like the All Blacks were making breaks, they weren't getting beyond the South Africans. So the South Africans always managed to recover and get back. And the All Blacks, started to really struggle. However, there was a break by Proctor from that, which again nearly led to a score. But the All Blacks, this now is where the game changed, around about the 60-minute mark, and it was a tale of two lineouts. The All Blacks had one deep in the South Africans' 22. And talking about pressure in the game, I'm sure they felt like they really had to take advantage because they didn't have a lot of attacking position. It was Satiti who got in to block off and got penalised. And it was a silly one. I mean, it was very obvious from where the referee was on the other side of the pitch. From our side, from the camera side, it was quite difficult to see, but it's very obvious on the replay. And this is where the smart players do the smart things. Like, he should have known where the referee was, and blocking round the back like that was really obvious to the referee from his side. The All Blacks lost that opportunity. South Africa did an absolutely rapid break down the left-hand side, but got knocked into touch just short of the goal line. This was a good example, actually, of where the South Africans did quite often what I've just described the All Blacks are great at. When they got a chance, they just were rapid and really ruthless at times. So All Blacks throw, Nortje got up. There was a dummy in front of him. He ignored that, just went straight up, won it two hands. And a couple of phases later, Damien Valemsa, who was outstanding today, so quick on the ball, having to move from centre to fullback as well. He got into a seam between Tupaia and the debutant, whose name I've just forgotten. Where is it? There, and Carter. Excuse me. He got into a seam just between the two of them. And even though he had to catch the ball high up on his shoulder, he recognised that Tupaia was not going to get to him. And he got over, which looked a very powerful finish. And at 10:24, that looked like it was going to be very difficult for the All Blacks to get back into this game. But again, we have seen it in the past where they come back late and score. But they weren't going to do it today. And there were several reasons. One, the All Blacks line-out went completely to mush. As their scrum was getting better and better, their line-out was getting worse and worse. And any territorial advantage they could find, they were losing the ball immediately. The Springboks were winning every single aerial battle, it seemed, at this stage. So they were just getting territory and then playing off of that, and they were outstanding in their kicking game. Again, Libbok with some really, really good up and under kicks that the South Africans were just dominating. Another one, Will Jordan kicked dead from just outside his own 22, a huge kick. I mean, as soon as it came off his boot, I was like, wow, that's gone a long way. And then it bounced onwards as well and went. So, yeah, the All Blacks never stopped fighting, but the South Africans were just winning every single battle, it seemed. Hooker broke out. This was again, like the All Blacks looked like they got good pressure. It was a Bowden Barrett kick, but Hooker broke out. And a few phases later, Libbok cross-kicked for Peter Steph-Totoy to take the ball, offloaded to Quagga Smith for a try, and 29 points to 10. And the point I want to make here is that Quagga Smith has run past, I think it was Quinn Tupaia, to get to that offload. This is the type of thing where effort on top of effort is really, really important. And yeah, Tupaia, I think, just caught a little cold because I don't think Quagga Smith is actually quicker than him. 74 minutes. RG Snyman took a great line. Two players, Holland and Tamatai Williams. Williams who scrummed really well, by the way, when he came on. Snyman just walked straight between them from about the 22. 10:36, and it's starting to look it's starting to look embarrassing, to be honest, for the All Blacks now. But they had a chance to get back in towards the end with Will Jordan screaming down the right touchline, one of the greatest finishes in the current game, I would say. And he somehow managed to miss. I have no idea how he got this one short, but Grant Williams must be given huge credit for getting back outside and a real efficient tackle. He just got him so clean. But Jordan just dived and tried to pin the ball down too early in front of the line. He bounced it about half a foot in front of the line. That was a really bad miss from Will Jordan. If he just held onto the ball, he would have been tackled over and could have placed it easily anyway. But that summed up the second half. The South Africans were ruthless. The All Blacks, with the chances they had, which were few and far between, were not. And it was exacerbated even more in the last minute with Andre Hesterhazen getting over for a try. Again, that man Valemsa walking past Tamatai Williams in the outside channel, and a couple of passes later, Esterhazen was over. 10:43. This was insane. The Springboks coaching box could not quite believe it. They were dancing around up in there, and fair play to them. This was a heck of a performance. 6 tries to 1, 36-0 in the second half. This is the biggest ever All Blacks home defeat. Not only that, this is a 33-point defeat. The previous worst one was 15 points against Australia in the 60s at some point. This is a momentous victory. It's a momentous match, and especially the second half. South Africa won the air, they won the scrum, and they got momentum from there and were ruthless at times. But don't forget the chances they missed in the first half as well, and they did miss 1 or 2 in the second that they could have scored from. This could have actually been even more. This was an outstanding Springboks performance, one of the best I've certainly ever seen, especially when you consider the scenario here, away in New Zealand, having lost the week before. Outstanding. Brilliant by the Springboks. The All Blacks, they got some holes to make up. Line out in particular, they struggled at the scrum a lot of the time, and they defended well for large periods, I think. I mean, it was a South African onslaught at times, but it just got away from him in the end. Anyway, that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Any key tactical things that I missed that you think played a key role in this game? I'd love to hear from you. Give this video a thumbs up while you're down there if you don't mind. It helps other great rugby fans just like you find it. And you can subscribe there. You can watch that one next. And don't forget to get out and play.